And now I'm very excited about my first guest. I'm honored to have him on. He's just been considered one of the coaching finalists selected to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. He's the beloved coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, a Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 34. Let's welcome into the locker room Coach Dick Vermeil. How you doing, Coach?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Merry Christmas to you, first and foremost.
Same to you.
Coach, I have my. I just want to say, I'm excited for you, and I want to congratulate you on this outstanding thing. This is just such a great honor for you.
Thank you. I feel very privileged.
Now, Coach, I have a couple of my advertisers in here. We're giving back to the community today. Tom Jackson from Tom Jackson Electrical and Sons, and Mark Grimes. So if you're ever in Ocean City and you need a house, you can call Mark Grimes from Berkshire Hathaway. And if you need some electrical work, you call Tom Jackson.
Okay.
Coach.
Thank you.
First off, Coach, I wanted to ask you, you're the best person I can ask this question to. I want you to tell me, why should I be optimistic for the Eagles' chances this Sunday against the Cowboys at 4:25 at the Link?
Well, I'm not as optimistic as the normal fan, and I'm sure pulling for them and rooting for them because they've done a heck of a job overcoming a lot of the injuries. But it may catch up with them tomorrow. If Dallas plays like they did last week, which I haven't seen them play that with that intensity and concentration this year, if they play like that, they'll be unbeatable. That doesn't mean they're going to tomorrow, and it doesn't mean the Eagles can't beat them. But as they go into the ball game, watching the two teams play last week, Dallas should win it.
All right. So then, why? So why should I be pessimistic? What about the Eagles suggest to you that that the Cowboys are going to win?
Well, I think the Eagles right now are playing without their starting right tackle, without their starting wide receivers, without their starting right defensive tackle. And all that adds up when you play a quality team. Now, Dallas hasn't played up to their ability many times this year. Like I said, they did last week. But if the Eagles play better than they have been playing, the last 3 weeks they've played a losing team. Not a very good NFL football team. They lost to one of them and had a win in the last series of downs, the next two. That doesn't paint a very positive picture against a football team that really is a playoff caliber team that hasn't played up to their ability all year.
We're talking with Hall of Fame finalist Coach Dick Vermeil, beloved coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, he coached the Super Bowl champion St. Louis Rams. Coach, one thing we've been talking about on the show today is when you get into a game like this, and we don't have to tell you, turnovers dictates who the final outcome. Everybody's concerned, right? Yeah. Everybody's concerned about Carson Wentz bringing the ball down. I mean, aren't the coaches working with him with that? I mean, he's turned the ball over 14, or he's fumbled 14 times and lost 7 of those.
To me, that's more an indication of the offensive line not doing a good job than Carson Wentz not doing a good job. All quarterbacks from time to time will get the ball knocked out of their hands in trying to set up the throw if the offensive alignment allowed too many defensive people around him. He's been throwing under pressure all year. He's one of the most pressured quarterbacks statistically in the league, and that's how the fumbles occur. If the Eagles' offensive line would set shorter, I think, and keep the pressure away from him better than they've been doing, he won't fumble the football. Granted, he can improve his.
I hope we didn't lose him. You there, Coach?
Yep.
So we're talking about like a quick.
Can you hear me?
Talk about a quick release. I mean, get the ball out.
Yep.
You got to get the ball out. We just lost. I think we temporarily lost Coach. Let's see if we can try to bring him up.
You there for a minute.
Yeah, in California.
No, I think he's in the area, but that's exactly what what people have been preaching to Carson Wentz. You got to get the ball out. He can't be holding on the ball that long.
He looks deer in the headlights a lot of times too, which shouldn't be happening
for someone of his quality, football player Carson Wentz. I mean, you heard John Gruden.
I mean, that pass to Sanders last week was
That was it was a dart.
That was unbelievable.
It was like out of a howitzer.
But then he missed the screen pass by 5 yards.
It's funny, that pass to Sanders, I said, was his best pass of his career. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was a laser.
Now has Carson Wentz? Obviously, he's playing much better. He hasn't put a whole game together, but he's put halves together, and he's looked overall. I mean, he's had a good performance against the Redskins. Second half of the Giants. Has he turned the corner?
I think so.
I
do.
So you think you're going to see a different Carson Wentz come out against the Cowboys at 425? I think these fans are going to be lathered up, man.
Oh, this is going to be.
I wish it was going to be a little colder, though.
Yeah, you know what? Exact same sentiment to me, Tom. I think it was. I wish it was a little colder, a little bit more. A little bit more. Hardcore
little nip
football,
in the air. Little nip in the air.
You know what I mean? Because the fan. You going Grimesy?
I'm not. I actually have the Grimes Christmas party, and we will be drinking some great Vermeil wine with our dinner in honor of Dick.
There you go. Yeah, Dick
So
Vermeil,
hopefully,
man.
I want to ask Mr. Vermeil, is that going to bring us any more luck?
Hopefully we can get him back. Josh is trying. We lost him, but Dick Vermeil was on the line with us, and it's a shame that. So maybe we can get him back. You can ask him a question. I'll get him back on here in a second, but Dick Vermeil, just some great memories. We do this thing with Ken Dunnick every Sunday. We have a segment called the Eagles Mystery Guest in conjunction with Ken Dunnick and the Jersey Man, Philly Man magazine. And Ken Dunnick, every single Eagle that I've had on my show that played for Coach Vermeil, they just rave about him. And Coach is back with, "Hey, how you doing, Coach? We lost you there for a second."
Yeah, I'm sorry. I live out in the country, and sometimes the cell phone service isn't the best.
I was just telling my guys here that I do a segment every Sunday called the Eagles Mystery Guest in collaboration with Ken Dunnick and the Jersey Man magazine, and he provides me with mystery guest players, and then the listeners get a chance to just figure out who it is, and they can win a prize from Schuylkill Valley Sports. And most of the guys have been guys from your era that have played for you, and I can't tell you, Coach. That's the true mark of a great man is what they say about you. Each player, just some of the things that they say about you, really, it's very impressive.
Well, it's their standards. I taught them better than that.
All right, Coach. Before we lost, we were talking about some of the things that the Eagles need to do. We were talking about Carson Wentz' inability to hold on the ball. He's been turning the ball over. I'm just wondering, do you think the coaches are working with him with that? I mean, aren't they in his ear?
Oh, yeah. But as I was saying, to me, it's the offensive line problem. They're just allowing too many people around him. He's getting knocked around too many times. And I told you, too, that statistically he's been pressured in the higher percentage of all quarterbacks in the league. He's getting knocked around too much. And that's not his fault. That's the offensive line fault. Even when he holds the ball, if you're going to make big plays in your passing game, the offensive line has to do better.
Yep. Hey, Dick, this is Mark Grimes. Hey, listen, my family Christmas party's tomorrow, so I'm going to be drinking some nice red cab Vermeil wine.
Great.
Will that bring us some?
Well, thank you.
Well, will that bring us? Will that?
It.
Hey, listen, I've had it before. It's a very, very good cab. Will that bring us any luck, though? That's my question.
Well, I'm planning on doing the same thing, but maybe 2 bottles. So
I love it. There we go.
If one bottle keeps it close, 2 bottles will win it for you.
There you go. Done deal. I'll bring out the Magnum bottle.
Okay, great.
Hey, Coach.
That, Mark.
Hey, Coach. This is Tom Jackson. I have a question for you. I've been harping all season about this CBA agreement with they're only allowed to have pads on and hit 14 times during the season. I know that wasn't the way it was when you were coaching. Do you think that the easier training camps and the lack of hitting is causing these injuries?
Well, I think it's contributing to it. You know, football is not a contact sport. It's a combat sport. If when you line up 6 inches away from somebody right in front of you that weighs 3 inches, dancing is a contact sport. When you get after each other, it's a combat sport. And I don't think we're adequately preparing our people for combat through the season in training camps anymore. And it's all the intent is good, but I think they ought to allow the coaches to determine what each team needs. A veteran team may not need as much as a younger team. And they also don't allow a losing team to outwork a winning team by staying on the field longer to help make his players better. They just don't allow those things anymore. And I've been saying that for a long time.
Coach, so I just raises another great point. I'm curious, from 1980 till today, what is the difference in weight training programs when your players weight train versus today? Because we've been fortunate enough to have some guys down here in Ocean City. I watch these guys in action, and I've always said their mass of muscle today compared to 1980 to me is way, way less. Meaning these guys are torpedoes today. Their body fat is like almost to zero.
Yeah, but the big guys are still bigger.
No, that's true.
The big guys are still bigger. And, my Eagles Super Bowl team, Stan Walters was the heaviest guy at 275.
Wow. Right.
I had one guy in my offensive line in the last pro team I coached at Kansas City. The center weighed 273. Okay, yep. The rest of them were all over 300 pounds. Men are bigger. They train longer. The little guys are more like you're talking about.
Correct.
The wide receivers, they're taller, slimmer.
Correct.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't talking linemen. We can tell by looking at the TV that they're not. I'm talking about linebackers and running backs and wide receivers.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Well, they are lean and mean, and they're also, I think, overall faster. And I don't think the linebackers overall are as big as Berge played at 246.
Wow.
And he fought with me that he wanted to play bigger, but I kept him at that weight. But now, with the emphasis on the passing game, those guys have to have just slightly more agility and speed and movement skills. So they play smaller people. Now, not by a large margin, but sometimes, 10 pounds can make a difference.
Yep.
Coach, one last question for you. When it comes to when you're coaching a team that's has to overcome adversity with a lot of injuries, what's the message to the team, to the guys that are stepping up? I mean, and if you could you rate what type of job you think Doug Peterson is doing with the people that he has in place right now?
Well, I think the injured player ought to thank the starting player for getting hurt and giving him an opportunity. There have been a lot of guys become starters because the starter in front of them that was supposedly a better player got hurt, and all of a sudden the guy, hey, look at Kurt Warner.
Right, yeah, perfect example.
Thank you, Trent, for getting hurt. No one knows who I am. But, of course, I'm being facetious, but Doug Peterson has done a great job. He never uses as an excuse. It's just matter of fact, this guy's playing, this guy is injured, and we're filling in this way, and we're going to line up and play. I think he's done a marvelous job of that. He's done a marvelous job in these tight football games of coaching and calling plays under extreme pressure. As we've all know, the last two ball games that come down to final plays. And Doug has done a great job. Now, what I tease him and say, let's start those final drives in the first quarter.
Yeah. All right, well, Coach Vermeil, I really appreciate you taking your time. I know it's the holiday season, the hustle and bustle. You're out and about. I want to congratulate you on being in consideration for the Hall of Fame. I think you're a shoo-in. You're my favorite coach, and of course, my childhood growing up, I remember those Eagles teams, and I want to thank you for all the memories.
Thank you. Take care.
Merry Christmas, Coach.
Merry
Christmas, Coach.
There's Coach Vermeil. I'm telling you what, he just exudes head coach. You know what I mean? He's the head coach.
He's a class act.
He's the coach. I used to love him I used to love him when he was on ABC. He did college games, and his analysis, his breakdown it's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's excellent
because he's the head coach, and if he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame on this bound, it's rigged.
No,